bringing to you the third story of Rowley Jefferson's awesome, friendly, spooky stories. Ghost Friend. Rusty and Gabe were best friends from the time they were little. They hung out at Rusty's house every day after school, and on weekends they would watch their favorite soccer team play on TV. Most of the time, Rusty and Gabe got along great, but every once in a while, Gabe did something that annoyed Rusty. But Rusty knew that even best of friends can sometimes get on each other's nerves. Then one day, something terrible happened to Gabe. And I don't want to get into the details because it's way too sad for a kid's book. Later on that year, Rusty was really sad because he missed his best friend. And even though Gabe did a lot of annoying things, Rusty knew he would do anything to just spend just one more afternoon with his pal. Suddenly, a cold gust of wind blew into Rusty's room, and when he turned around, there was his best friend Gabe. Right now, you're probably saying, "Oh, I guess Gabe wasn't dead after all." But you're wrong, because this was ghost version of Gabe. Gabe said he came back from the spirit world because he knew Rusty really needed him. And that kind of made Rusty feel bad for thinking about all the times Gabe annoyed him. But Gabe said now that he was a ghost, he wouldn't have to go home and they could hang out all night if they wanted. Well, Rusty was glad to have his friend back, but the thing about staying up late made him a little nervous because this was a school night and he liked to get to bed early. But Rusty didn't say anything because he knew Gabe would tell him he was being a goody two-shoes. Rusty said he should probably go downstairs and tell his parents that Gabe was back. But Gabe said that would spoil their fun and they should keep this ghost thing a secret. Gabe said they should just hang out and play video games like they did in the old days. But when Rusty handed Gabe a controller, it went right through his hand. If it turned out since Gabe was a ghost, he couldn't touch anything. So he had Rusty play the game for him, which wasn't really that much fun for Rusty. Well, he was screaming, "Down arrow, up arrow, you dummy." And poor Rusty was still playing his game and Gabe's game. After a few hours, Rusty said he needed to do his homework. Gabe said he was glad he didn't have to do homework anymore since he was dead. And he kept talking, which made it really hard for Rusty to concentrate. Finally, Rusty put a soccer game on TV so Gabe would stop bugging him for a while. But Gabe booed the whole time and Rusty couldn't tell if it was because Gabe didn't like one of his teams or if he was just making ghost noises. After a while, Gabe got bored with the game and he started trying out his ghost powers like walking through the walls, and that made it even harder for Rusty to concentrate on his homework. Rusty gave up on his homework and told Gabe he needed to go to sleep. But Gabe said that was kind of inconvenient for him because ghosts don't sleep. Rusty got ready for bed and hoped Gabe would just float away to wherever it is that ghosts go at night. But even after Rusty got into the covers and turned off the lights, Gabe kept hanging around talking. And all Gabe wanted to do was talk about this girl named Kelsey Reed, who he had a crush on. Somehow Rusty fell asleep, and when he woke up, Gabe was still talking. And he kept right on talking while Rusty got ready for school. Rusty told Gabe he'd catch up with him when he got back from school. But Gabe said it would be too boring to wait in Rusty's bedroom all day, so he was coming with him. It turned out Rusty was the only one who could see or hear Gabe, and he talked the whole way to school. But Rusty didn't really respond because he didn't want anyone thinking he was talking to himself. First period for Rusty was science, and unfortunately, Marcus Meeks was absent. So that meant there was an empty seat right behind Rusty. Boring, was what Gabe told Rusty. The next period was Spanish, and there was a pop quiz. Rusty didn't get a chance to look over his notes the night before, so he knew he was in trouble. But this was where having a ghost friend came in handy for Rusty, because Gabe was giving him all the answers. Rusty's teachers graded the quizzes during the class, and when Rusty got his quiz back, he remembered that Gabe had always been lousy in Spanish. At recess, Rusty was too tired to play kickball with the other kids, so he sat on the bench. Then Kelsey Reed sat down next to him. Kelsey started talking to Rusty, and she was really nice. But when Rusty tried to talk, he could barely think because Gabe was really being annoying. "Ask if she would date a ghost. Ask, he would say. On the walk home, all Gabe could talk was Kelsey Reed, and this time Rusty didn't even bother responding. "Do you think she noticed me? I think she noticed me." He kept on talking. That night, Rusty needed to study for a test, but of course Gabe made that impossible. He would pop out of his desk and say boo. By now, Rusty was overtired and cranky, and finally he just snapped. Rusty blamed Gabe for his bad grade in Spanish and said his constant talking was driving him nuts. And he said maybe it would have been better if Gabe hadn't come back in the first place. But as soon as the words left Rusty's mouth, he wished he'd take them back because he could tell he had hurt his friend's feelings. Gabe said that if Rusty felt that way, then maybe he should just go back to the spirit world. And that kind of got Rusty a little teary-eyed because he knew if Gabe was gone for good, he'd probably start missing him again. Rusty said he was sorry and that he didn't want Gabe to go back to the spirit world. So Gabe stuck around, and it wasn't for a little while either. Rusty's grades went down the hill, and he didn't bother going to college because he knew he'd never get any work done with Gabe in the picture. Plus, he never got a girlfriend because he knew Gabe would probably mess that up too. And even though Rusty thought it was nice to have his best friend around, sometimes he wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. Ah, sad for Rusty. Hope you don't have any ghost friends. Have fun.